What Velasquez does bring to the table are his skills as an undefeated heavyweight, the hard-working Mexican blood pumping through his veins, and a brown pride tattoo on his chest. Oh, hi. I'm Grandmaster Rogers, your host of African American Shadow Boxing TV. I was just reading a little bit about what I might call a Latin invasion, with Cain Velasquez being the greatest heavyweight in the UFC today. But there are others. There's Nick Diaz on a great winning streak. There's Gilbert Melendez. And of course, on June 11th, we're about to see Brock Lesnar and Junior Dos Santos. Now, of course, the lower weights, they're not in the UFC yet, but we're going to see that. I believe Nick Diaz will be back in the UFC. But speaking of these matchups that we saw in UFC 130. Now, Quentin Jackson is back. Yes, I enjoyed him. He looked like he was in shape. Great takedown defense. But Quentin Jackson versus Mark Hamill was a mismatch. Not even the class of Quentin Jackson. Mark Hamill needs a little bit more experience. Frank Mir looked great. But Big Country, clearly not the class of a Frank Mir. As far as matchups are concerned, I believe that on June 11th we're going to see a good one. Junior Dos Santos and Brock Lesnar. And we thought we were going to see a great matchup with the Jones and Rua, and it was a great performance by Jones, but the fight didn't go like we thought. You know, I thought it was going to be a knockdown, drag-out kind of battle, and it wasn't. Jake Shields and George St. Pierre, wow, was that one-sided. However, I did want to mention this. When George St. Pierre fought Jake Shields, when George St. Pierre fought Josh Koscheck, it was packed in the local venues where I went to watch these fights. John Jones and Rua was a better fight than both of those fights, but didn't bring in as many people as George St. Pierre. But no one brings in more people than Brock Lesnar. When you go to a Brock Lesnar fight, you better get there early at the local venues here in Los Angeles area, or you're not getting in. As a matter of fact, they're turning people away. The fire marshal is handing out citations on that day at local venues because there's too many people. And that leads me to ask the question, is Brock Lesnar the Mike Tyson of the UFC? Now, granted, George St. Pierre in Canada pulled in, 55,000 sold-out crowd, which was the biggest take at a venue for UFC. But Brock Lesnar seems to still be the biggest draw in the UFC, win or lose. Now, again, I would like to see Brock Lesnar come out and do what he does, not try to do like he did in the Cain fight. Fight Cain Velasquez like Cain Velasquez fights. Now, Velasquez can do it all. Brock Lesnar is getting to that point, but he should stick to what he knows. Now, I want to see that rematch. I got to see the Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar rematch. I need to see the BJ Penn Fitch rematch. We were supposed to see the Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar rematch, but that got postponed, but I'm sure we'll see that. UFC, when you bring those kinds of matchups, you're giving the people what they want. And, just these last matchups in 130, that was, that was good. I guess that was some tune-up fights for those two fighters, those two great fighters. Now, this is an anniversary of sorts. In 2004, the summer of 2004, James Toney got word that he would be $1 million fighter again when he fought Evander Holyfield at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. And that's where African American Shadow Boxing TV got his debut at that fight. And so that was a great fight. James Toney looked like a kid again. He knocked Evander Holyfield out in the 9th round. But getting back to MMA, is it me, or does anybody else want to see Quentin Jackson do some of his signature slams in these fights that he has in the future? I mean, when I watch a Quentin Jackson fight, I'm looking for one of those slams. You know, when I watch a Frank Mir fight, I'm looking for an awkward submission. You know, the reason why I bring this up is because I've been watching this King of the Cage DVD on Quentin Jackson. And man, I got excited all over again about Quentin Jackson when I watched all these slams and just the way he does it, just with ease, and just, I mean, bringing the crowd to their feet. And man, it goes without saying. You know, if you feel the same way I do, comment on this video. And I want to also bring up some other sports news. Bernard Hopkins, 46 years old, light heavyweight champ of the world. George Foreman was 45, so that makes Bernard Hopkins the oldest boxer at this time to be a world champion. But let's not forget the Black Dragon. 52 years old, the oldest fighter in UFC history, Ron Van Cleef. The world seems to have forgotten about that. Now, this is not rocket science. You know, give the man his props. But congratulations, Bernard Hopkins. And mentioning boxing, come on, boxing. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, bring it on. Bring it on. You know, we the fans deserve this. And it's just so important that a fight like that will, well, Manny Pacquiao himself is really keeping boxing alive. Thank you, Manny Pacquiao. So, if you want to hear more commentary on combat sports in general, or find out what's going on with the World African American Shadow Boxing Health and Fitness Association, or Kwasi Sana of the original martial art, or just find out what Grandmaster Rogers is doing, please subscribe to the M Family Buana channel. Now, we'll be back after June 11th, give you some commentary on the Brock Lesnar and Junior Dos Santos fight. And until then, I'm Grandmaster Rogers, and you're watching African American Shadow Boxing TV.